I think we've gotten to a point where questioning if aliens are real isn't really the important question anymore. Rather, are they already here? In fact, 65% of American adults believe there is life out there. So we need to focus on whether aliens are already here. In recent years, proof of UFOs or unidentified flying objects have been released by the US government. The term UFO, however, has been changed for a couple reasons. Instead of UFO, it's now called the UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. However, that again was changed to UAP, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon, in order to accept a wider range of situations that can be recorded. And the reason for this change was because the word UFO kind of has a big stigma around it, where people don't really want to say UFO because they might automatically connect it to aliens, which is what we're doing in this video. I personally am a huge skeptic of UFOs and aliens, but with 100% certainty, I could say that there is most definitely life outside of Earth, whether that be plants or animals or like a humanoid species. There definitely exists some sort of species. I feel like, in a way, if you don't believe that there are aliens out there or like extraterrestrial life, I think you're just being ignorant. I think you're willingly being ignorant. Just to kind of put that into perspective for people who are skeptical of the idea that alien life might exist outside of Earth, you have to keep in mind that there are 125 billion galaxies in the observable universe, and most scientists agree that the universe is constantly expanding. And in all of these galaxies, there are millions upon millions of stars and planets that can all harbor life. The Milky Way alone is said to have between 800 million and 3.2 trillion planets. But let's go back to Earth. On the 14th of November in 2014, 100 miles southwest of San Diego, Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Alex Dietrich were flying their little military fighters and were told to intercept a strange object. Both Fravor and Dietrich, plus their backseaters, saw a strange object that appeared like a Tic Tac candy, which was about 40 feet long. For that reason, this incident was kind of called the Tic Tac UFO or UAP. According to the pilots, the Tic Tac UAP had no wings, no rotors, and were flying at insanely fast speeds. The reason why this case is so well known is because they were actually able to get footage using an infrared camera of the Tic Tac UAP.
Nickel 6-1 Tango Roger, over.
Oh, got it! Woohoo!
Roger, there's troubleshooting as soon as I get...
Hold that thought. So, in 2007, a secret government program named ATIP, or the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, secretly began. The goal of ATIP was to collect and analyze data of UAP sightings. This man, named Luis Elizondo, who is a military intelligence operator, was asked to join ATIP in 2008, and then he later took control in 2010. Years after the Tic Tac UAP incident, nothing was really done until Luis Elizondo kind of took it into his own hands, although the ATIP program was said to have been ended in 2012. So then Christopher Millen, a colleague of Elizondo, who served as a Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, felt there wasn't enough done about UAPs. I personally kind of find it crazy that the government didn't have UAPs be like a number one thing they discuss or like look for. So obviously the only logical thing to do was to leak 3 videos of these UAP sightings from the government and send them over to New York Times. Unsurprising enough, the government was finally set in motion to answer all these questions of UAP sightings. And as a result, the Pentagon brought back ATIP, now rebranded as the UAP Task Force. Additionally, progress was being made in Congress, in which a detailed report was set to come out in 2021. So what did the report say? Well, it remained relatively inconclusive. The report summary states that the reviewing process was limited to UAP sightings from the years 2004 and 2021 in order to have more relevant and accurate data collection. Although the report does say that a majority of these UAP sightings do represent physical objects, any unusual flight characteristics could have easily been due to errors. In other words, any scientific explanation for these sightings that didn't involve anything physical, it was just not seen much in the cases reviewed. However, that doesn't stop these physical objects to have been acting in unusual ways because of the sensor errors. As written in the report, there are multiple types of UAP requiring different explanations based on the range and appearance and behaviors described in the available reporting. The report also goes on to state that these UAPs clearly pose a safety or flight issues, and they may even pose a challenge to US national security. However, none of this information really establishes the possibility of extraterrestrial beings, and the other report made more recently basically gave us the same answers. The only thing that holds up the second report up is that many more UAPs were reported because of the destigmatization of reporting them. Still though, it leaves many questions unanswered, and that's where NASA comes in. On the 31st of May, NASA held a public meeting to discuss UAPs and UAP data collection. I sat there for the entire 3 hours and a half long meeting, and I watched it for this video. So what did this meeting tell us? Not much. The study team consisted of many scientists and research from many relevant fields to UAPs. This included Daniel Evans, Nadia Drake, Paul Bontempi, Federica Bianco, David Grinspoon, Carlin Toner, Joshua Semeter, Jennifer Buss. And on the front row, Walter Scott, Warren Randolph, Reggie Brothers, Shelley Wright, Scott Kelly, Anna Maria Berea, Mike Gold, and the chair of the study team, David Spergel. Each of these people focus on their respective fields, which kind of helps corroborate the effort put into finding out what these UAPs are. For example, Paula Bontempi, who is a biological oceanographer, is a field that is sure to be helpful for UAP sightings that are above or below water and not aerial. Since this is their first public meeting, not much was really said, and most of the speakers spoke about the stigmas revolving around this UAP data research team. While most spoke on how data collection of these UAPs has to be properly conducted in order to get proper results. But 1 to 2 speakers did talk about UAPs and showed some footage. This man, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, showed us some UAP footage, and some of these you may have already seen, but the first one I'll show has 3 dots moving in what seems to be kind of like perfect sync and really quickly. This took place in the western United States on a training mission. But apart from these 3 UAPs moving strangely, another crazy thing is that they actually weren't able to intercept them. But he does go on to explain that this is likely due to UAPs being further away than pictured. Unfortunately, for anyone who got their hopes up, air traffic control data actually just showed that these were commercial aircrafts. So yeah, not what I want to be hearing when I'm looking for aliens. I'm not really going to go over why these 3 dots were acting strangely, but they do go over that in the meeting, so if anybody's interested, watch it yourself. The other video he showed, that one's interesting. It's no surprise that some of these UAP sightings have been due to sensor errors and optical illusions that confuses many of those who see them. But according to Sean, that's not the case for this UAP. This UAP was observed using electro-optical sensors and was actually found in the Middle East last year. As you can see, it looks like a metallic orb or like a sphere that seems to have no possible way to move around the way it's moving. The thing that kind of struck me the most though was that Sean kind of says how these UAPs are the ones that are most seen. This finally brings up a valid question. Are these UAPs extraterrestrial or are they just foreign objects? But get this, they're not only seen in the Middle East. They have been seen around the world. And if you need further convincing, here's another video from the Pentagon that they released.
As the pilot scans the skies, he also takes out his cell phone, and that's when he captures this. Watch closely. Did you catch that? It's not something you'd have seen in Top Gun. Let's zoom in. For a split second, what appears to be an unknown spherical metallic object hurtles past the plane.
Yeah, what the fuck? You know things are moving and happening when government officials and people in NASA cannot explain what these things are. You have to keep in mind that this issue is not just in the United States. These orbs have been seen in the Middle East, as we previously saw, and just in general around the world. So this involves other nations. This isn't an us issue, it's kind of an everyone issue. What's even more worrying is that these UAPs are just kind of existing and they're not able to explain what they are. And even more, these UAPs are sharing the space, the flying space of commercial airplanes that we go on and just in general military airspace, and we don't know what they are, but there's nothing we could really do about it as of now. This doesn't even begin to cover the tip of the iceberg. There are so many sightings that have yet to be explained, and that's just what's declassified. Imagine what is still classified that we aren't able to see. The story does not end there though. A former government official by the name of David Grush has claimed that the US government has in fact had contact with extraterrestrial UFOs that have crash landed. Apparently, he worked in the UAP task force, and not even they knew about these secret UFO crash landings. But I'll let him explain it.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the US defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes. The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
So do we believe this ex-government UAP task force whistleblower, or do we believe the government? Obviously, as a response to his claims, the Pentagon has come out and said that there is no actual UFO crashes. But again, are we supposed to believe these people in power that probably have reasons to keep things away from us, or do we? I don't know. I don't know. I think most of us are kind of just looking for some sort of confirmation by the government or by NASA or just any notable entities to tell us that yes, there are aliens. However, this is obviously a difficult topic to discuss, and I think most scientists just kind of want to go through the scientific process to get accurate UAP data. But obviously that hasn't been possible due to the way that UAP data has been collected so far, which is why these scientists from the UAP conference of NASA said that there has to be better data collection to find these UAPs and to know what they are. But somebody needs to step in and do the work. But if NASA's not going to do it, the government isn't going to do it. Joe Biden probably won't either. So I guess I have to